Welcome to another edition of Falling Forward. In the shotgun seat today is the one and only Shawn Whiting. Welcome to the show, Shawn.
I'm very happy to be here, Lance.
Well,
Thanks for having me.
Man, it's one of those things where I've been wanting to have you out here for a long time, and everything lined up and it worked out.
That's right.
And we go way back, man, to the beginning of when I started doing music.
Yeah.
I still remember the first time I met you was maybe one of the first times I met you was up there at the barn.
I knew that's what you was going to say. I remember that too. At Arthur Hancock's barn.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like
yeah.
Stony Run or Stony Point or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But up there, man, and I was like, Arthur had asked me to come out and play some songs. When I saw you were there, I was like, I ain't playing songs. Like, he's gonna.
No, he asked me to come too, and I didn't play either. It was that night. There were so many people there that were playing, and that was really cool though. That was a really cool place. Really great idea you had, and having people just come and hang.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was very new to music when I saw you. Like you were one of the people that was out there doing it in the scene, man, and got to know you a little bit through the years. But really glad that you're in here. I want to pick your brain and where you start, how you started.
Yeah, man. I'm an open book.
We also got these. You want to talk about these? Where they came from?
Yeah, got a couple of stogies here sponsored by my very good friend Shawn Thatcher.
This one, let's see if I can get it to focus.
He's a connoisseur of the
Can't get it to focus.
cigars, and he wanted us to have a couple of good cigars that were, not nothing too big that we could, we'd be able to pretty much smoke what time we're sitting here, and we want to make sure we're taken care of. So
this thing looks like something that Paul Bunyan.
Thank you, friend.
Paul Bunyan started smoking and then he set it down.
Yeah.
This is huge.
It's called a chunk. I can't.
It says Alec Bradley.
Alec Bradley.
Chunk Maduro. Thanks, Shawn. I can't even get it in my cutter. Honestly, I cannot get it in my cutter. Do you have a knife?
I do. I've got a pocket knife.
We'll have to do the Shawn Thatcher method of
Here,
of doing this right here, because he has a video out where he just takes his knife, and this thing is on cinematic mode, so it's not going to focus, but he pretty much just goes around and makes an incision kind of like through there on the end, and as long as you get through that outer layer into the filler, it's all good. Probably get a little bit of tobacco in my mouth, it's fine.
Yeah, it's all good.
Something like that.
Let's see what I can do here.
I gotta find the sweet spot where this thing focuses. Well, we're in for anybody that's just tuning in for the first time, this show is called Falling Forward, FOR''D, and the show is pretty much interview show, cigar reviews, kind of a mild restoration on this truck. But the main purpose of this thing is to find people with a story. We all kind of have these moments where we have downtime in our lives, and we learn lessons through our hardships and our struggles, but we get back up and we keep moving forward, and we learn something from it. And some of those things, man, I've experienced myself. If you ever go back and watch any of the solo stuff that I do on here, that's kind of what I talk about. I open up about some of the things that I've personally gone through, and try not to be too sad about it. But actually, it's not a sad thing at all when you learn a lesson, and
I agree.
I'm going to learn more. We all are, hopefully. But
we all make mistakes, and the thing is to learn from them.
yep. And with being a singer-songwriter, that's how a lot of people are going to find you on this show, is through your music. And let's talk a little bit about how you got into it, when you decided this is what I want to do, and that whole process. When was the first time you picked a guitar up and decided that I want to write a song?
I think I was about 17 or 18. At that point, well, I mean, it goes all the way back, honestly. I don't have any period of my life where I can remember not loving music and wanting something to do with it. my earliest memories are always of music and wanting to sing and wanting to listen to music. And you know, I would tear up my mother's turntables because she would stop playing the music, you know, on the records. And me being a small child, not knowing how it worked, I would go in there and be putting the records back on there and trying to make it spin, and would end up messing it up because I just wanted to continue. I wanted to hear that music. And I discovered earlier on that I could sing, and I understood rhythm, like beats and stuff. I started playing drums at a very early age, and that just stayed with me. My mother loved music, was just the biggest music fan. She loved everything. And my grandfather was a musician. He was a damn good singer, and he was a really good guitar player too. And so I always had music playing all the time. And my mom always playing something, playing albums or tapes or whatever. And my grandpa would often be playing guitar and singing at home, or for the longest time I was the only grandchild, and so he took me everywhere he went with him. And so he would go to, either he was playing a show somewhere, or he was going to somebody's house, you know, or just some little get together, and he was always playing. And so I was always there with him and being a part of that. So it's always been just something that I just always adored. And it's like, but when I was little, I didn't really know that it was something that I could, you know, do. You know, that wasn't really, nobody really did it as a job. You know, my grandpa didn't do it as a job. He did it because he loved to do it. And, you know, so I went up playing drums, singing along. I was very shy. Always been a bit of I don't know, I'm shy. Part of me is shy, and then part of me was outgoing and wanted the attention as well, you know, try to be the class clown and things like that. And so I was kind of nervous about singing in front of people. But then I had a good friend in high school that was a musician, and he was a good musician, played bass, played guitar. He was a good singer, harmony singer especially. And he started, you know, egging me on. Like, he'd hear me sing. I was like, hey man, you need to sing more. You need to sing more. And then one day he said, you know, let's write a song. I never even had thought about it. And so we sit down, and he just comes up with a chord progression, and out comes a melody and some lyrics, just like that. And it's like, this is really cool. This is fun. And that really gave me the bug, you know, him kind of pushing me to do something. And so that's what really started it, was that good friend pushing me. And then so I had been learning to play guitar some, but my grandpa had this old Hagstrom electric guitar that he bought like at a pawn shop. It was like I've still got it, and it's like a '64 model. Really interesting looking guitar. It's like the top of it's made out of plastic, and it's got this gold mesh stuff in it. It's very unique looking. And for some reason he hated the way that wound strings sounded when you move your strings up, fingers up and down the strings, how it screeches. He hated that. So we always put flat wounds on them, and it made that guitar so hard to play. And he had big, strong hands, and so as a kid, I'd try to play it, and it was damn near impossible. And then he borrowed a guitar from a good friend that was a Washburn acoustic, and it just kind of laid around. And that thing was easier to play than that electric was. And I started strumming around, and there happened to be a book. There was a book there that had chords and stuff in it, and I started learning chords and taught myself how to play, and enough to accompany myself. And I started messing around with writing songs, and that was my late teens and early 20s.
So late teens, early 20s, you know, in high school, were you actively, but by the time you'd written your first song with your buddy and you got the bug, were you actively trying to go out and do like performing at that point, or was that something that came later?
I played my first gig performing out in front of people. I think I was 19. Played some little 4th of July get together at some little nearby town on a flatbed truck, you know, with me and my buddies.
Yeah.
We weren't very good, but I got up, and first time up was a singer's worst nightmare. I forgot the lyrics. You know, I'm so nervous I forget the lyrics to one of the verses of the songs. You know, and just a mess. And then you hear the ladies in the crowd going, "Oh," you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just kind of makes you even like, oh, it just makes you feel slink a little lower.
Yeah.
But that was a learning experience, and
You need that, man.
I did. And
You need that.
You know,
I think every singer-songwriter that go through that same kind of thing, and it's like,
Yeah.
you've got to get that time on stage where you feel that anxiety, and you know, even today we're gonna forget things on stage.
Yeah.
But it's like we learn how to adapt.
exactly.
From the time you're up on stage, you learn like, okay, I can't remember that second verse, but I'm gonna let my band cover me for a while.
Or I'll sing the first one again. You know, it's whatever you got to do at that moment. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, but you know, after that, over the years, man, I was like, that's really, I knew I wanted to play music from then on, you know, and I just didn't have any idea how to do it, you know. Didn't really have any, you know, internet wasn't a thing then, and it just, so I went out and got in and started playing in cover bands. You know, that's what everybody did back then. There was tons of bars. You know, people still went out then, and every Friday and Saturday night. And so I started getting in cover bands, but that's really where I honed my craft. You know, that's where I would get out and learned how to sing all kinds of different music, and started really experimenting and learning what to do and what not to do with my voice, you know, and things like that.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to talk to you about your voice a little bit, man, because you have a powerhouse of vocals. Like when you're on stage, you kind of like, from the very beginning, you kind of own it, and everybody's like, if they even don't know you, they're like, okay, I'm gonna listen, because you got a very powerful voice. Did you always have that? Like, at what point did you said you went through a couple things to try to like understand what to do and what not to do? When did you find your voice, the Shawn Whiting powerhouse voice?
Man, that's a good question. I started experimenting with it when I was about 20. I started trying to really find it when I was about 21 or 22. I had really gotten into, that was when I was really into like Van Morrison and Paul Rogers from Bad Company. He's my all-time favorite singer. And you know, of course, Greg Allman and these guys, that I wanted to be able to get that grit, you know, that they have, and that I'm very drawn to blues singers, bluesy singers, and bluesy rock singers, and I started really pushing it, you know, and I was trying to do what they did, you know. I'd sit at home, and back then we had those huge ass home speakers that were 3 foot high, you know, and just put on that album or that CD or that cassette and just crank it up, and I just sit there and would try to do what they did, you know, emulate that, and whatever it took for me to do it, I did it, and I would just push myself, and if it meant just giving it all I got, then that's what I did, and I learned to be able to kind of scream, but be able to scream on key, you know, and on pitch, and learn to control that. And but it took a long time. It's like, it's a muscle, and because when I first started doing that, I would destroy my voice, and I'd go and play a show somewhere on a Friday night, and then Saturday morning I would wake up and could barely speak, you know. But doing that continually for years, it became, you know, kind of calloused, and I learned how to do it better, and it just, by the time I was in my late 20s, 30, I really started coming into my own voice, and I started singing that way all the time, but not really, man, until I was pushing 40. I feel like that I was really there.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny how that, you know, just kind of a trial and error thing. And then as you get older too, your vocals are changing, and like, but you're
Right.
like I was talking with Nolan Taylor one time about vocals, and he said that it was when Tyler Childers came out, and you know, Tyler has that ability to just push through and like he can hit those. He just like pushes his voice out there. His vocals are. He learned how to do it, you know. And if you look at Nolan Taylor's early videos, it's just very soft spoken, kind of like. But it was that motivation just from hearing somebody else be like, I'm going to try this with my voice, and boom. I mean, it's Nolan Taylor, and it's like it takes. Sometimes, you know, inspiration's a great thing for
Absolutely,
for trying to do things with your voice that normally you just wouldn't naturally do it. But
I just wanted to be able to do what all those greats that I admired and looked up to. I wanted to try to do what they could do, you know, and I pushed to try to do it, and I still push myself to try to be able to do that stuff, you know. And I'm not saying that I'm as good as they are or anything like that. I strive to be, though, you know. I want to continue to get better. I feel like I'm 49 years old, but I feel like I can still get better. I'm still trying to be better. I still haven't reached my potential, you know. I think we always have to, as long as the body allows it, you know, allows it to happen. You want to continue to try to be better at what you love.
Yeah.
And, you know, and guitar, I still have so much to learn on guitar. You know, but you only get better by surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, man.
that's true.
That's the best advice I could give for anybody is get in a band with people that are all better than you, and they will inspire you. You can learn from them. They will push you, you know. And I've been fortunate that the last several years that I've played with some of the best musicians around, and it's done nothing but make me a better musician. And I'm thankful for that, you know. It's wonderful. It's been a wonderful opportunity. And
some of those moments where that's Kat Deeds just pulled up. She's still in the country. Hey, Kat. And so some of the best nights I can remember were up Billy's place on the river. Billy Styles Johnson.
Absolutely.
She had a little festival she put on in her backyard, Billy Bones Tavern, and you've been the headliner up there. And some of those performances, man, are just like, I don't know if it was just the influences of you know, everybody's kind of like just having fun, or if it was just like just a pure magical moment. But it was I do remember a couple of those moments where I'm like, this is the best show I've ever seen. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's this moment where it's pure rock and roll.
Yeah, man.
And that's why I'm like, if you were just watching this, you haven't heard Shawn Whiting, make sure you go check his music out and come to a show.
Yeah, man. I thank you. I wasn't sure you were talking. If you're talking about,
I'm talking about
me. You're right.
Absolutely, bro.
No, okay.
Yes, man.
No, thank you. That means the world to me. You say that, man.
And also the chemistry that you and there's several other artists that you guys. I mean, you have like a brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know, Eric Bolander and a couple other guys were just like the banter between you guys is just it's great, and I think it's truly unique. To this area too.
It is. We love to give each other a hard time, but we're so tight knit and so close that I've in the last 10 years that I've been a part of the music scene, that I've become closer to people that I know from the music scene than I've known people I've known my entire life. You know, it's become a family that I love dearly, and it's like when you find your people, you know it, man.
I'm gonna let's take a pause real quick. Pick the camera up. Kat Deeds.
Hello.
You're in the interview now.
Hey, Shawn.
Okay. Now be careful in my yard now.
I'm staying away from that thing, yes.
It is
dangerous.
The door is unlocked, and you guys can go on in. It's air conditioned in there.
Yeah.
Just make yourself at home. All right.
If you fall, I'm not going to fall.
Please don't fall. So, yeah, Cat Deeds broke her ankles, one of her ankles right there in my front yard. She was here one day from the UK and broke her ankle, and had to go to the hospital, get it all fixed up. She's been here ever since, so she's been here about, I guess, a month, and she's got to be here for another week before she flies back out. But if you, Cat's my partner in For the Love of Appalachia, so we do fully sponsored tours over there in the UK. Plus, Cat has her own booking agency over there called KD Music Media, which if you want a tour over there, she can hook you up with a tour, some shows and everything, and tell you where to go. And anyway, back to Shawn Whiting. And let's talk about these cigars for a second too. I haven't even made it a half an inch through there.
No, I'd be smoking on this thing for like a day or two, to be honest with you.
Yeah, this is a for as dark as this is, and
It's a really good cigar.
it's great.
It really is.
It's great.
Got a great flavor to it.
This is kind of a, when I pick out a cigar to smoke, I normally don't go to one like this size, but I might do it. It's like, this is a long smoking cigar, even though it was a short one. It's got this is probably a 45-minute smoker.
At least.
You know what I'm saying?
You're working on it too
Yeah.
the whole time.
And dude, my last cigar I smoked was out in Colorado. We were on this boat, 4th of July, and between the cigar and the PBRs and the boat shaking back and forth, I threw my cigar in the water. I was like, boys, I gotta sit down.
I've been there.
It was rough, but
Yeah, I was at Billy's. You were speaking of Billy's there a minute ago. I got on a cigar kick one night at Billy's and smoked quite a bit of it, and it was kind of sweet. So I just kind of left it in my mouth and just kind of chewed around on it. And yeah, that's a mistake, because I don't smoke typically at all. I don't smoke cigarettes, and I don't dip or chew or anything. And needless to say, that nicotine had me feeling a little woozy.
yeah, it does that too. I guess the concentration of nicotine grows because you're kind of like pulling it back this
Yeah,
way.
you're pulling it back. Yeah.
So by the time you get towards the end of it, it is potent.
Yeah.
And if you're chewing on it, it's like you're getting all that.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
note to self.
that's exactly what my problem was that night too. I think I just OD'd on nicotine. But and 4th of July, we're having a little fun. But anyway, so looking back on things, man, because you got a family.
Yeah.
You got kids, you're married, and you got to have the work, music, work, family balance, and all that. How does that change through the years?
Well, in 2016, up until that point, I'd always put work and family first. And then suddenly my mother passed away. And I had already had ideas in my head like that. I saw my job was the company I was working for, they were going under, and I knew I was going to be getting laid off. And I thought, maybe I'll play music full time. And then my mom passed away, and then I was like, life's too short. This is a catalyst to get off of my ass and at least try.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about a month after my mom passed away that my job shut down, and that's whenever I said, you know what, I'm gonna try to play music. I'm gonna try to do this full time. And my wife was incredibly supportive. Said, do it. You've wanted to do it. See what happens. And so that's whenever I just dove into it, and I had watched Tyler Childers, I'd watched him do what he had done. And I'm no Tyler Childers, and we don't write the same music or anything like that, but I knew him from when he was I met him when he was like 16 years old, and I'd watched him come from just being a high school kid that had an immense amount of talent to putting himself out there and doing it, and just continuing to grow, and it was kind of like it was a bit of a blueprint. And and I lived right there, and right just outside of Paintsville, and close to where Tyler's from. And Tyler had made a huge name in the Huntington area and the Lexington area, and I was just like, I'm gonna go to these places that Tyler's playing. I'm gonna go meet these people too. And so I started going to the V Club, and met people there that were great. Gave me an opportunity there, and then it kind of went from there. And it's I'll tell anybody that starting out is networking, as you've learned, I know, is the majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's getting out and being a good person, being a good hang, meeting as many people as you can, and if you want to be part of a scene, you got to be seen.
Yeah.
And at that time, the scene was just thriving. It was just, there was just so many musicians, and people were just so optimistic about what was to come, and it was really something special. And so I just I followed Tyler's footsteps in a way, even though he's 15 years younger than me, but the kid was already knew what he wanted, and he was going after it, and I admired that. And so that's whenever I just kind of went for it. And I'd been in bands my whole life, and at that point I'd had a band not too long before that we had kind of tried, but we didn't really know what's the best avenue to go. And then it split up, and I just kind of was like, what, the only person I can count on is me. And I was just kind of like, I'm not going to be held back because of others. So that's when I went out and just started playing a lot of solo shows and doing a lot of stuff like that. And didn't really have a vision like I wanted to be this solo artist or anything like that. I was just like, I'm just going to get out and play shows by myself. Mm-hmm. But in all honesty, I write songs in my mind. They're all, I don't really consider myself a singer-songwriter in the sense of that genre. I'm a singer and a songwriter, but what I hear in my head when I write a song is a full band.
Yeah.
I write rock and roll songs. And that's really where I'm at now. And that's why, if you, like, for instance, I've been Shawn Whiting, and then I've had and the Big Badness, and I've kind of had, I don't know if you call it ego death. I don't know. I've changed the way I look at things in my life, and I know that it's so hard, and you know this, and any other artist that's out trying to do it, it's so hard to do things on your own. And you have to do everything. You have to be your own booking agent. You have to be your own tour manager. You have to be your own publicist. You have to be everything. And it's a lot on top of trying to be, an adult and do adulting things and have a family and a job. And, and it's got to be like, you got to want to do it for the love of it. And just over the years, my whole thinking on the whole thing has changed. And I love my band, and I wanted us all to be equal partners. I didn't want to feel like that I'm any better or I'm more than what they are in this. And that's why I decided that I don't want to be the front guy. I'll still write the songs for the most part and be the front man, and I'll be the leader of the band if that's what needs to be. But I want us to all be equal members of this situation and just go on and just have fun. No pressure, I still want to be, I still hope to, do great things in my career and things like that, but I want to be in a rock and roll band. That's it.
The Big Badness.
That's it. Just want to be.
So that was where you recently changed,
Yeah.
like the name and everything, kind of had a rebranding to, so the Big Badness. Make sure you check out the Big Badness. Shawn Whiting is, so it's almost like one of these companies that, like, it's employee owned. Everybody has a stake in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you have to have some leadership and you have to have like guidance, but overall, everybody's got a stake in it. Everybody has a say.
That's it. It's tough because, when you got to worry about paying, when it's everybody's invested, then you all can decide whether you want to do something or not, And another, when it's like I've just got hired guns, even though they're not, they're my friends, but they still were like, they're hired guns. You know, I have to worry about whether, you know, is it worth asking them, can I take care of them well enough to do, you know, to pay them what they're rightfully owed, you know, that whole situation. It's like,
Yep.
it's a whole different level of stress. And for my, you know, mental health is huge part of all of our lives, and we don't talk about it enough. But for my own personal mental health, I feel like I just needed this. I needed to rebrand. I needed to change. Because it's hard not to, even though I know that there's nothing, for whatever reason, if a person doesn't, if the masses don't like my music or what I do, it's nothing personal. But it's hard not to take it personal whenever
It really is.
it's, you know, whenever you putting yourself out there and you're putting out what you've created to the world, and you've got that risk.
Yeah.
And that's something we all know. But it's hard not to take it personal, even though it's not. You can't take those things personal, and I know that. But at the same time, it's like, for my own personal health, mental health, I felt like that I needed to gain some of my anonymity back. You know, I'm Shawn Whiting. That's who. I'm not shying away from who I am.
Yeah.
But as is in the public, I want to be the big badness.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. And I think, you know, it's funny, and I think there's a lot of artists probably in the same situation where there's a lot of stress that's put on you as a songwriter, singer-songwriter, and your name, it can be synonymous with like whether people like it instantly or they love or they don't like it instantly. And it's like you do start to take that personally, and you're with your name out there. But when you have a kind of a band name you go after, it can shift gears faster.
That's how
it can downshift faster.
I feel like that too. I feel like I wanted to build a brand. You know, I wanted to focus on all those things. Focus on imagery, and focus on what we're about, and focus on the art of it. You know, focus on our just creative side, and this is the brand of the Badness and what we do, and we're a badass blues rock and roll band.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a dying art there, unfortunately. You know, but I believe in doing what you love, and I love all sorts of music. You know, but I was especially as a child and a teenager, I was a sponge of music, man. I listened to everything, you know, rap to metal and everything in between. And you know, as I've gotten older, I've narrowed it down to what really just puts me in the right state of mind, and it is rock and roll on the blues rock and roll. You know, I love the 70s. You know, I know my stuff sounds like it right out of the 70s, and that's good, because that's what I love.
Yeah.
I love old 70s ZZ Top and all the great stuff like that. And then it's like the 70s, and then the early 90s of the grunge era. You know, I was so influenced by all of that and the rock scene that came out of then. Those are my two. That's my favorite music. So you hear those influences.
And you're one of the only guys that I know that can like nail a Chris Cornell song.
Thanks, man.
I'm telling
that's
you, man,
one of my.
That's a hard thing to do.
Yes, he's one of the best ever. And
You got one of those voices, man. It's and you could tell like it immediately. When I hear one of your songs come on, like I know exactly who it is.
wow, that's
So it's not like you're not trying to imitate anybody. You've got your own voice and you've got your influences, but it's like I love what you're doing, man. And you know, I'm excited to see what's up next for you, because it's going to be big and it's going to be bad.
well, I went a spell and I wasn't really doing any creative, fellow creative, and I'm not one of those people that pushes it. You know, in which there are ways of getting out of that, and it's good to try to force yourself to so you become a better songwriter, to just put time away every day or every so often to do that. But I've never been one to do that, and I bought a new amp and a new guitar a few months ago, and it's amazing how just something as simple as that will just totally it was just came out of the blue. I hadn't been very creative. I hadn't really written any songs or anything like that for a couple years. I was going on like 2 years where I just kind of wasn't in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe noodle something out every now and then, but nothing really. And then I brought that new guitar home and got this new amp, and then it just started coming from where I don't know, but that inspiration came, and I just started coming out with all these different ideas. And you know, we're trying to find time to hone them down and to figure out when we're going to be able to put them, to record them and put them on tape, as they used to say. But it's there, and I'm really digging what's been coming out, and I feel good about it. You know,
that makes a huge difference, man. When you're like, and I honestly think, I always said there's songs in every guitar, and that's why I'm intrigued by that you feel that too. You got like a different guitar, and all of a sudden it's like,
it's amazing how just the difference in the sound, difference in the way it plays, just all of that just can bring out. It's an inspiration, or you're in tune with the cosmos, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That our antennas kind of peak up there, man, and we're bringing that in.
I think so, man. I think there's something to that, because you know, sound it's frequency, and every guitar kind of has its own.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start hitting those strings, man, just like it can, depending on your mood, depending on your chemical makeup at the moment, depending on the universe,
Yep.
the stars, all that kind of stuff, it kind of plays into it. But I'm looking forward to what your next project is. Do you have like an idea of like time wise when you like a long-term goal of like getting something else out? Or
Yeah, I mean, really the goal that we've been talking about is like trying to at least, hopefully, whether it's an EP or a full length, we ain't made up our mind yet, because probably got enough. I've got enough half done songs. I write music first. That's the way I am. The music it's the easiest part for me. It just kind of, I get an idea, and then I just kind of go with it, and then I'm able to kind of structure it out the way I want it. And then afterward, during that process, melodies will come to me, and then usually just random words will come out.
Yeah.
And then I will end up kind of writing a song around those random words. You know, it's weird. Everybody's got their own process, but I typically don't really usually have an idea of what I'm going to write about before I start a song. And so I've got all this music for like, I think probably close to probably 10 songs. But, you know, I figure we at least do a 6-song EP, and we want to try to maybe get it out if we can find the time, because there goes in line with your question about the balance. You know, everybody in the band's got a full-time job, and our schedules are all different, and it's hard to get together, but we're going to try to make it to where we can get it done and hopefully put something out by like next, you know, maybe next May or something like that, you know.
Very cool. And
I also want to do, I've always wanted to do you know, like a blues album of like some of my favorite standards, you know, and just only do it, you know, on 11, you know, like Spinal Tap.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, just kind of, I've always wanted to, and so that's where my heart goes. So somewhere down the line, the next year or two, we want to try to do something like that too.
Very cool, man. I'm glad you were able to come out here, man, and I could talk to you. We probably ought to do a part 2 at some point. I'd like to, you know, talk
Absolutely.
more details about stuff. But overall, in conclusion, we got maybe a couple more minutes here. Words of wisdom to an up-and-comer. Maybe like talking to an 18-year-old kid out there that's picking up a guitar and writing some music. Maybe words of wisdom or guidance from being your age now and our age. We're the same age, so it's like you got a little bit on me, but not much.
Yeah, man. Looking back, you know, I just feel like kind of go touch on what we've already talked about. It's like, stick to your guns, you know, get out and be part of a scene, if there is a scene, you know, hone your craft, you know, and like, don't go with the fads. You know, don't stick to your authenticity. People love authenticity. You know, don't worry about the naysayers. Other people's opinions are none of your business. You know, like, just surround yourself with other other musicians that are better than you, and just always keep going. Just even whenever it feels like there's no point, that's better. That's dive into it more then, and push all that out, because all those thoughts they don't mean nothing. Life's short, so do what you love.
I love that, man. It's all the truth right there. And I think it's something that until you become a singer-songwriter and you get out there and you put yourself on the stage and you put yourself in a vulnerable situation where people are having to hear what you have to say on stage, it's like a test that you've never experienced unless you try it. And it's like when you can push through your own fears, get to that point where you're like, you know what, here's who I am, here's my voice, here's what I want to do. It's like, if you don't have any resistance to that, you probably haven't found your true calling yet, because you have to have resistance. A sailboat has to have resistance to slide across the water, and it's that wind. You can either hit that wind and use it as a reason to stop, or you can turn that sail around and use it to go forward. And that's what the premise of this show is about, man.
Yeah, man. Just always enjoy it, Always be in the moment, Just be there in the moment. Enjoy what you're doing. Do it for the love of it. No other reason, And good things will come.
Amen. I've really enjoyed our conversation, Shawn.
I do too, man. I do too.
And thank you again, Shawn Thatcher, for hooking us up with these cigars. The Alec Bradley Chunk Maduro, highly recommended. And look forward to seeing your next show and hanging out again.
Likewise, buddy.
Y'all make sure you like this, subscribe to it, leave a comment. Follow Shawn on everything he's doing, the Big Badness. And check out all his other music out there on Spotify and iTunes, wherever you get music. But make sure you're hanging out with good people, smoking good cigars, if that's what you're into. But enjoy every moment, man. It's a gift. Life's a gift.
Yep.
So wind it there, and we'll catch you down the road. It's been Falling Forward.